Nigeria should take note and that we should invest more in new reserves. We also warn Nigerians that the cost of doing business in Nigeria was the highest in the world, and that for every dollar we were making, we were spending as much as 38 cents on security.
So you knew, and yet you made promises
excuse me, we
that
want,
you couldn't fulfill.
We consistently want the government that they need to invest in infrastructure, that they needed to invest in new reserves. Now, by the time we were talking about creating jobs, I think in 2014, we never foresaw a situation where we were going to earn $28 a barrel.
Okay, now let me move to the Minister of Finance, because, you know, I want to bring other members of this panel in. Now, Honorable Minister, another pre-election promise of this government is that Nigeria will see a better economy and will have better financial management of our resources. This promise, again, on the surface, seems to have vanished into thin air if we look at the performance of the Nigerian economy as we speak. Would that be accurate?
No, I don't think it would be. I think the thing we have to understand about the economy is the general direction the economy had been moving in, had been travelling in, consistently really since 2005, but that decline accelerated in 2014 when the oil price, as the Minister for Culture has just said, took a sudden plunge. So what we see today would have happened whichever party had won. We were already heading in that direction. Oil revenues had been at their highest, as high as $110 per barrel. We did not use that money wisely. We didn't invest it, neither did we save it. And so the seeds for what we're seeing today have been being sown for years. We have been heading in this direction. And so I think it's unfair to say, because we are here now, you that happens to be here are responsible for it.
Given the fact that in the lead up to elections, if your argument is correct, these things were not news. You knew. You still went ahead and made promises to Nigerians. And so which one is it? Do we believe that you're not to blame and therefore you knew, but willfully missold your program to Nigerians? Or is it a question of you didn't know?
I don't think it's neither of the two. You create scenarios based on variables, and those variables can change at any time. Yes, there was a prediction that the oil price would decline, but there was never a prediction that it would go as low as 28. Yes, there was a prediction, and if you look at the oil price predictions, to average around $50 a barrel. Now we're roughly at around $50 a barrel. What's the problem now? We have problems in the Niger Delta. Now, quantity is a problem. Economics is not an exact science. You don't sit down and everything is perfect. We don't have that. It's constantly moving, and government must change its policies and its programs according to what's on the ground. But let me answer you around what we are doing. We have said we're going to create 500,000 jobs for graduates in teaching. Those are real promises that are being cash-backed in this budget.
So a year after, Nigerians have more promises, basically.
No, they're not more promises. They're plans that will begin to be rolled out based on those promises. We have mobilized or remobilized contractors. Some of those contractors have not been paid since 2012. They have rehired thousands. They're back on the roads, they're working. Those are real dividends, real jobs that are sustainable. So I think what has to be recognized is that we are in a very difficult situation, probably economically the most difficult situation this country has ever faced.
Shrinking economy for the first time in 25 years, that is according to the National Bureau of Statistics. We're in negative growth and looking seriously at an inflation recession in the next quarter. Are you not worried?
I'm not worried because the fundamentals of Nigeria are strong. I'm not worried because if you look at what we've done and if you look at the reform process that we have started, we can stave off the possibility of recession. If you actually dimension those GDP figures very carefully, you'll see that the biggest drop-off was in power. Some sectors are still growing. Agriculture is still growing. Manufacturing stayed, I think it was about +3%, despite all the challenges. That shows you that fundamentally there's a robustness there. Now, if you combine those fundamentals with the reform program that we're putting in place, which is what? One, we stops the corruption. That's very important, and it's very fundamental.
And we will get a chance to discuss with Professor Sagi
allow me please to make this point, and it's a very, very important point. There is a link between the corruption and the economy, and that link cannot be discounted nor disregarded. Let me give you a very simple example. We currently, and I'm sure Professor will talk about it, are discussing with one Nigerian who, by all accounts, has stolen $1 billion. $1 billion is what we're asking the World Bank or the ADB to lend us. $1 billion, and let me context this carefully. Because you're talking about the economy and about job creation.
It is important.
So I need to let you know. I need to let you know what $1 billion translates to. It's important.
Okay, go on then.
The counterpart funding for Lagos to Kano Rail is 60 billion naira. The counterpart funding for Lagos to Calabar Rail is 60 billion naira. The amount needed to complete the Lagos-Ibadan, which I think in your excerpt the President was speaking about, is 160 billion. So we have to put these things into context. The reason why we don't have what we need, part of it is corruption. Part of it is mismanagement, which we're addressing.
And again, another promise the President made a few weeks ago, I think maybe 6 to 8 weeks ago, is that he will tell Nigerians how much money was recovered and the people that actually have looted this country. And this is the sort of thing that normally would lead to confidence, which we have a problem with. Today, he made his speech, and he seems to have pushed, the job of doing that to Alhaji Lai. So I don't know whether I should ask him whether we are going to get that list today.
You will get it, but not today.
When are we getting the list?
Very soon, before the end of the week.
Before the end of the... with the numbers of the money collected and everything.
But not with the names.
Not with the names. Why not with the names?
Of course, for obvious legal reasons. I mean, you mentioned that they rushed to court and then the whole thing is stuck up.
Didn't the President know that when he made that promise?
The President said he was going to release how much was recovered and where they are. But
I seem to remember him saying he will also name names.
Oh, but he maybe said so, and he was advised that, look, this could bring a lot of legal issues. Of course, he has the right to reverse himself on that.
Okay. Now, let me quickly go back to you, Kevin. Last question before I move to another panelist. Part of the things we hear from analysts and pundits who understand the economy is that there are issues of confidence in the way this government has so far dealt with the economy, and this has a real tangible impact on investment and a whole bunch of other things. Who formulates Nigeria's economic policy?
Well, we have an economic management team, which the Vice President chairs, of which I'm a part, of which the Minister of Trade and Investment is a part, of which Central Bank Governor is a part, of which the Minister for Petroleum Resources is a part. It's a different approach to what obtained in the past. And with respect, that's partly because what obtained in the past didn't work. If it had worked, we wouldn't be in this position today. We have a slightly different approach. And our approach is, rather than top-down, we are bottom-up. So, for example, there are subcommittees that involve the NBS, where we look at data. There are subcommittees where we're working with state governors.
Is that why everything is taking so long?
Well, you see, I'm not sure everything is taking so long. Fundamentally, we are moving in a different direction to the way Nigeria has been growing in the past, because we have been growing without development. Growth without development is dangerous. If you have GDP growth of 8, 9, 10%, and you have unemployment, especially with a huge young population that we have in Nigeria, that is...